welcome everyone to the 5th episode of the Knitting Eillets podcast. Wow guys, I am overwhelmed and amazed. You are so wonderful, really. I have to thank you again. I just did it in the last video where I thanked you. I think it was for 35 subscribers, and now it's just like 61, so I don't know what happened, but somehow the subscribers almost doubled themselves. So thank you very, very much. I am over the moon about this. I have never expected this. And I love the community we are building here. And it gives me even more motivation to keep on going with this kind of videos and content. I don't know what to say, to be honest. I made myself some notes, that's why I'm looking down, because I'm like, whoa, my brain is kind of frozen when I think about this. I think I have to start thinking about what I want to do as a 100 subscriber kind of special in-between video, something. I did never think about this because I never thought I would ever get even close to 100 subscribers. I'm thinking about making as I said, a special in-between episode if we reach 100 subscribers, and I want you to be able to wish also for something you might be interested in. So I was thinking maybe about a Q&A, old and simple, or a journey through my old knitting stuff, knitting products, like how I started to knit, and showing you all the old jumpers and scarves and things I've made. Or maybe you have a whole other idea which you would like. So if you have an idea, if you have a wish, what you would love to do or would love me to do for 100 subscriber kind of special, you can put it down below in the comment section. Yeah, when you watch this video and have not yet subscribed, I would be so thrilled and happy for you to subscribe to this video and or like it. Yes, guys, thank you so much. Really, I cannot say more. Let's get started. What I'm wearing today. I am wearing one of my favorite knits. It's the Tulip by Ririko. I know there is another Tulip sweater, something out there by another designer. I don't know this. It's really Tulip by Ririko is the designer. I just love this, especially in the transitional seasons like now or in spring, when it's a bit cooler in the mornings. We have like 10 to 12 degrees now in the mornings, and it heats quite up in the afternoon, so I at some point will have to change into something lighter in the afternoon. But when I get up in the morning, I love to throw this on. It's so comfy, and I can wear it without anything underneath on my bare skin, because the wool is just, oh, I just love the pattern. I love the wool. I love how it turned out. It's just wonderful. Yeah, I will put in some B-roll so you can see how it fits. It is made with a merino silk wool from a Swiss hand dyer and spinner. It's the Wollspinnerei Vetsch. And it's the Eillets merino Seidengarn. It's 70% merino wool, mulesing free, and 30% silk. The skein has 400 meters on 125 grams, so it's fingering weight. And I didn't say the color name. The color name is Palace Blue. It didn't have real ball bands kind of things around it because I bought it on the Swiss Yarn Festival. I think they had to stock up. So yeah, that's why I had to look it up. I think it's Palace Blue. You can see I have some, oh no, this side, variegations where the wool did some other stuff. It actually looks more extreme than it is in real life. In real life, it is more subtle. And I didn't alternate skeins. I just took one skein after the other and it worked out perfectly. And although it's variegated, you can really see the stitch definition and the patterns very well. The Ririko pattern has two versions of this sweater. It has a feminine version, which is actually what I made, but with like bat wing sleeves. I don't know how you call them. They are like trumpet sleeves. They are like go out quite a bit. I didn't think them to be very practical, so I did the sleeves of the simple version, which is just a simple, actually it's a 3/4 sleeve in the pattern. I elongated it a bit to be kind of a 7/8 sleeve. I didn't want it to have a full long sleeve because I mostly when I wear this I have the sleeves kind of rolled up. But if it's like now it's a bit cool, a bit chilly, I like to have my underarms covered as well. But I don't need, I will not wear this when it's really cold, so I don't need kind of long sleeves. I used 2 1/3 or something skeins for this pattern because I did the cropped version, which has a lot of lace around, as you could see in the b-roll just before. It's a lovely pattern. It was never boring. There was always something happening with the nice raglan increases here, with the side panel of the lace pattern, with the lace at the bottom. It was always interesting. What I would maybe change the next time is I think the color is a bit flexible because it's all knit in one go. So I might want for the next time, well, let me make it correct again. I might want to kind of cast on just simply and then add the color to it, maybe even a I-cord color, I-cord neck line. What? I'm sorry, I'm just lost in the words. An I-cord neckline, yes, it was correct. I hope it will stay like this, otherwise I could still thread in like a thin elastic thread to keep it together. But until now, when I wear it really often, it's okay, it stays up, it doesn't kind of start to slide down from its own, but it could, depending on what wool you have, it could. So just to be sure, I would cast on normally and then work the color upwards, just to give it a bit more stability here. But that's actually the only change I would make. No, that's not true. I did actually another change because the feminine version is kind of A-line shaped in the body. She lets you do increases in the pattern, and I didn't do those because I figured out I have a very small waist and I normally always do waist decreases in my jumpers, otherwise it looks like a potato sack on me. So I did not do any decreases, I didn't increase, I just knit down straight. And I figured out with the lace pattern at the bottom, it would flare out a bit anyways, because lace opens up more when you block it than the normal stockinette stitch. I just blocked it a bit in a kind of an A-line shape, very soft one. I'm not too much of a fan of it, so I love it. I would do it exactly the same way. And I think I would do the simple version next time. So I would go a little bit longer without the full round lace edging, only the lace on the sides, maybe a bit longer sleeves even. So I have the same jumper but in a bit of a different version. I'm not sure if I did one more repeat of the lace pattern on the side or if I did the length she suggested you to do. I'm having trouble talking today. I'm sorry. I just can full-heartedly recommend the pattern. I can full-heartedly recommend the wool from the Wollspinnerei Vetsch. Let's go to the finished objects. You can see them here. First of all, I did finish my 3rd pumpkin and it is huge. Look at this, it's so cute. I did a bit of a different shape. I wanted You see them, the other two, back there. Here they are. The one you've seen in the last episode, I showed them to you. Now this one, I wanted to go big, and you see it's bigger than, actually almost as big as my head. I just wanted a different kind of pumpkin. I just did a stockinette stitch kind of rectangle with 2 DK weight yarns. I don't have the ball bands of these yarns because they were from my stash, they were quite old. I'm sorry, I can't tell you what yarn this was. It is quite rustic, which is why it was in my stash for that long, because I will not be able to make something out of it that I can wear. But I could make a pumpkin, and if you look closely, the beige yarn, can you see it? Let me see here. It has some orange, brownish speckles in it, which is lovely, which gives it just that little bit of autumny, more than autumny feel. I also just put a little twiglet, a little twig from my garden in there as the stem. Steamed it up here, which is not very nice, but it's in the back. I don't mind. And kind of went around, cinched it in, stuffed it. It could be a bit more stuffed. There is lots of room left, but I ran out of stuffing. I didn't have that much stuffing. Cinched it in the back. I pressed it a bit here so to get the shape. He is sitting with the other two normally behind the camera on the floor, and it's my autumn decoration, and I love it. Very happy to have those 3 pumpkins, and they just make me happy whenever I look at them. They are made after the pattern Autumnal Pumpkins. I showed it to you last time. My second finished object is a Sophie scarf by Petite Knits. This is what it looks like. Oh, can't see anything. It's a very simple pattern, but a lovely one, I have to admit. There is quite a hype around her patterns, which when I look at them, they seem to be quite simple. Like, don't get me wrong, I guess she's a good pattern writer, it's all fine, but it's just simple raglans, top down and bottom up and whatever, and a bit of different shapes. A lot of them look almost the same to me. That's why I haven't bought any of her patterns yet. I can do a simple top-down raglan, DK or fingering or whatever weight, with a free pattern too. So yeah, maybe if I knit one, I will see what the hype is about. But so far, I didn't feel the need to knit one of her patterns. But I've seen this Sophie scarf and I found this really cute. And this actually is not for me. This is for my grandma, who will turn 92 in December. She's still living on her own. She's still healthy and doing very well, which we are really, really happy about. She's still very concerned about how she looks, so she always has nice, neat clothing when she's going out. She always gets up at 9 o'clock around-ish and does her hair and her makeup and everything. She's a bit... she would never wear a full winter shawl to keep warm. She's like, oh yeah, it's cold, it's freezing, I'm cold. But she has like the thin silky scarves around her neck with minus 10 degrees and is wondering why she's cold. So I thought I will do her a warm, nice, chic scarf. I can show it to you quickly, although it's for me, it's a bit itchy. So she can do, oh, yeah, I don't like that. Oh, for the podcast's sake. Okay. Yeah. She can do like this and put it into her coat, and she has a nice wide part here in the back to keep her neck warm. Or, oh jeez, this is so itchy. She can go, I made it that she can go once around and do a little, can I manage? Do a little knotty thing. So, yeah, just a chic little scarf that will keep her warm, and she is not that sensitive as I am. So I did the Sophie scarf pattern. I changed it a bit. I started as she wrote it, with the increase every round she's telling you to. But then because I used 4.5 needles, it was getting very long and thin, and I didn't have a huge amount of yarn. I took leftovers from another project, an early one, which I will come to just in a minute. And I started to increase earlier. I did fewer rounds, or no, not rounds, rows to increase. And it gets a bit wider. You can actually, I think you can see it. That it gets wider quicker, and I did one repeat of the amount of rounds here in the middle. So it gets it's not a point, it's a bit more of a slope, and then I decrease the same way. And in the middle, no, not in the middle, at the end, I think you can see it a bit. I ran out of the alpaca, Suri silk alpaca, which I had left. It was this, the light cream, no, the light beige, is it called? Yes, drops brushed alpaca silk light beige. And I ran out of it here. And you can see where I ran out. It's a bit whiter here because I only had brushed silk alpaca drops in white, natural white, but white. You can see it when I put the scarf like this. I don't think you can see it when I have it all around my neck. Yeah, I lost the yarn chicken game, which was very, very stressful for me. Even knitting faster didn't help in preventing me running out of yarn. I was very disappointed by that. As a yarn, I used, let me check. Exactly, I used leftovers from my favorite things knitwear vest number 2 spring edition, I think it is. I knitted that up for myself. And in my local yarn shop, I ran over Long Yarns Nova. It was very stretchy, it was incredibly stretchy. So I knew I had to hold something with it to give it a bit more stability. That's why I took the drops brushed alpaca silk in this, as I said, light beige or what it was color. And I held this together for my vest. And I had leftovers, and I actually was worried about running out of the Long Nova yarn. And I didn't even think about running out of the drops brushed alpaca because it looked huge. The ball, it looked like there is lots of it. Couldn't prevent it. I'm still happy with it. I know she will like it because I let her touch my vest. And I asked her if this would itch her on the neck, and she was like testing it with my vest. It's exactly the same gauge, exactly the same yarn. And she said, no, it's so soft, I love it. And I was like, ooh, how can you love that? Terrible. I could never wear this as a scarf. Well, I get goosebumps all over my arms already. No, not for me. I knew I couldn't use this little leftovers, not as a headband, not as a scarf, not as mittens or mitts. So it was a sure thing for me. I make something for someone else with the leftover of this yarn, and this was just the perfect pattern for it. I have this pattern. I'm very glad I have it. I have lots of leftovers which I can use and make little gifts for other people like this. I think it is a perfect pattern for this. I'm very much in sync with the colors, I just realized. I have a third finished object, which you could see a bit better in the beginning. It's my Minerva socks from Sari Nordlund, and I am so thrilled they are finished. It's a lovely pattern. I love the stitch pattern. Let me see if I can show it to you a bit better like this. It's such a lovely pattern. I'm in love with this pattern. How it looks like, but it is so tedious to knit. It's like, oh my gosh, I really had to a little bit force myself to finish the second sock as soon as possible, because I knew if I would put it down, it could end up in an eternal whip. So I just pushed through and said five rounds every day, And yeah, I managed to finish 2 socks. I'm very happy about it. I think for next time I would just leave the back in plain stockinette stitch and only do the pattern on the front, which is where you can see it. Yeah, it's lovely. I like that I have the pattern in the back. I have one repeat in the back, so I didn't do a long upper part of the sock. I just started it here and I did one full repeat, and then I had 10 rows of ribbing with a twisted knit stitch. Yeah, I just love them. This one is already blocked. This one is not yet, as you can see. There are some differences. They are toe up, which is my preferred way to knit a sock. I really don't like top down. And you can see, let me see if I can show this to you. You can see it is not blocked yet, so it will block out a bit. I just finished them yesterday evening. You can see the start here is nicer, but it's actually, this is the correct way to do it. I somehow got confused in the beginning and did knit stitches in between here than purl stitches. And at one point in the pattern I changed it, but I think it looks a lot neater and nicer how it transitions from the knit stitch toe to the purl stitch foot. So this looks just, I think, very neat and lovely. Whilst this one is a bit of a cut off line. I wonder how much it will block out, but I don't think it will. And I wish I had done the mistake, the happy mistake here too, and knit stitches in between here until about, yeah, here where it gets very tight, where it's very close together. Can you see I did until here, I did the knit stitches, and there I started purling where it's very close together, which just looks very neat. And I wish I'd done that here too, but I thought, oh no, I made a mistake. I have to do it after the pattern. And when I looked at it, I was like, oh, my mistake was actually it's looking nicer than the pattern, in my opinion. I also changed the heel. Let me show it on the blocked sock, it's easier. I did a shadow wrap short row heel, which is my favorite way to do a heel at the moment. Maybe I'll try out another one at some point, but at the moment it fits so well, I like it. Never change a running system. I knitted it with 2.75mm needles. I told you that the last time. My preferred way to knit socks is with the 3mm needles, but this yarn, the Frida Fuchs yarn, I showed you also twice already in earlier podcasts. The Frida Fuchs Remi Demi sock yarn it is. It is very, very thin. It is a very thin fingering weight yarn, and I thought no, 3mm would be too big of a gauge. I went down to 2.75mm needles, and I like how it turned out. But because of that, in the pattern she says 2.5mm needles. I decreased some stitches. This first one I knit with 56 stitches, and I think she's calling for 64 in the pattern, so I decreased 8 kind of lines. Always the line in between these patterns I decreased one from the beginning, so it's just 56 stitches sock. But when I have them on, I think it looks a bit very much stretched on my foot. Maybe it's because of the purl stitches, but I wasn't totally happy with this, so I only did decrease 4 lines in the pattern with this sock, so it's 60 stitches. It's a bit bigger, a bit wider, so I hope it will not be stretched out as much. I need to block it. I'm happy with these. I'm happy I have them finished. I'm looking forward to wearing these. I think I can wear them on my bearskin. I really like the blue-faced Leicester. Can only recommend the pattern though, it is lovely if you want some really intricate, lovely cabled socks. Wonderful pattern, I love it. And it's toe up, which I have 3 whips. One you already know, and I did not knit on it. It's the Yvonne MT Shawl by Natasja Hornby. The wool is still too itchy for the temperatures. so I need to wait another 1 or 2 weeks. We will get 25 degrees this and next week, I think, and then it might start to drop. So I will be able to start working on, or restart on this shawl. I am actually back on my perfect number of 3 whips at the time. I realized that less is a bit boring for me sometimes. I like to have something a bit more complicated on the needles, something small to take with me, like a sock or mitts, and something very simple, mindless. But I had, with all those things, I had like 5 whips at the time, and it was stressing me out a bit. I wanted to finish stuff so I can go back to my 3 whips, and now I have my 3 whips, and I'm happy again. I'm at ease. I have everything I need and want, and I will really try to keep it that way. Of course, when I do Christmas knitting, there will be maybe a 4th whip for a short time, but this is okay. But 5 was a bit much. So back to my 3 whip as usual, and I just like it. So for a friend who is pregnant and is expecting a baby in December, I knit a little baby jacket. The Sorgenfri jacket by Indiblomst. No idea how to pronounce that. And it is very cute. Look at this. So cute. You see, I'm already finished. There are some, I think 2 pattern repeats left on the right sleeve. The left is already finished. It has a very nice edging. Look at this. That's a new kind of bind off I've learned in this pattern. It looks so neat. It's also at the bottom here. It's such a lovely bind off. And it's so easy. It's an I-cord bind off, but you purl it and it looks so nice with this garter edge it has at the bottom. Lovely. So I'm almost finished. I also already found some buttons to go with it. I will take these little blue stripy buttons, which I think will go well with the blue in the yarn. The yarn is a kind of a self-patterning yarn. So the yarn is Ririko Baby Classic Print DK. It's an absolutely new yarn for me, and I actually got it from a friend, a knitting friend, a real life knitting friend. Thank you again for the yarn, it's lovely. It is an acrylic yarn. It's 50% polyacryl and 50% polyamide, but it is very soft and kind of squishy. It's a lovely yarn. And I think for a baby knit, you know, it needs to be handy. It needs to be washable at any time. You need to be able to chuck this in the washing machine without thinking about it twice. I'm not a huge fan of polyacrylic yarn, I have to say, but this one is really nice. Very happy with this. Soon will be finished. I think today or tomorrow I will be finished with this one. Then I need to block it, sew on the buttons, and yeah, I can show you the buttons a bit more close up. The same blue, they are striped, they are really cute. Some, I think, acrylic buttons. It gave me so much thinking, really, as I don't think any pattern ever has yet. And I'm very proud of myself on how it turned out so far. I'm talking of my, let me see if this is front or back. This is front. Goldwing from Jennifer Steingass. And yes, it's all messy, rolled up with tons of ends to weave in. Wow. This pattern is just, I love it. I loved it the moment I saw it in the picture. I loved it even more when I saw a woman walk around in one of those at the Swiss Yarn Festival the last time. I knew I needed to have this pattern. Normally with Colorworks patterns, I check how long the yoke pattern is because, you know, it doesn't matter, but I'm not a very busty woman. I have very small boobs, to be honest. I have a bust size of 82 without a bra, maybe 84 4 or 5 with a bra that kind of pushes it a bit into the right places without any push-up, whatever wonder bra thing, just normal bra. So I'm kind of small chested. Also my upper chest is a very small circumference. My waist is very small. I have some hip increases to do all the time, but upper part very small, classical pear shape, I would say. Thing is, with this pattern, I love it. I love how it looks. I am hardly thinking I can take this off in winter when it's finished, because I love it so much. But I think the pattern is made, or is more perfectly suited for more busty women, because the yoke pattern is really long. It's 55 rounds of the pattern, and you do 4, 6, about 8 rounds of the white, and in the back a bit more because of the short rows. So you have a long way until you separate for sleeves, and I think it is separated quite low also on a busty woman. When I did it, that's the second try. Second attempt. The first one I had to rib it back until the second row. I was finished, I separated for sleeves, I had the whole collar work done, I had 2-3 centimeters underarm fabric. I tried it on and it was terrible. I think I chose a size too small. I chose the smallest size for a 91 bust, which for me would give me enough ease as she demands in the pattern, but it was, I think, too tight. It felt too tight around my shoulders here, with the widest part of me in the upper parts. It kind of was like this. It stood up, it was bunched up here, it was terrible fit, really terrible. I was like, oh my gosh, no. And the separation for sleeves actually was at my waist. So it was like, no way I can leave it like this. No way I will wear it like this. Honestly, it was awful. I was shocked. I never had a jumper sit or fit this badly after just following the pattern. And the only thing I changed was the short rows. Instead of making them shorter each time, I made them longer because I think it gives a nicer scoop neck. I don't want this kind of high neck in the front. I don't like that. So I made them longer so it comes down a bit more. It's the only thing I changed. Otherwise, I knitted to pattern. But then I went to the project page on Ravelry, and I saw, in my opinion, that a lot of those finished objects, there are 1,300 something finished projects, a lot of them, for my taste, don't fit very well, very nicely. They are either kind of bunching up here, they are sticking up like this, they are separated way below what I would want to have it. So I think there might be a bit of a fitting issue with this pattern, especially on bust sizes like I am, like small bust sizes. I think the higher up the sizes go, the better the pattern fits, because it's simple. If you have more bust, you're more rounder here, and the pattern comes up because it has to do more weight around your busts, which is nothing bad. It's just like it is. With me, with my very small bust, it just hangs down and it comes down lower, which is, for this pattern, not very good. So, to cut a long fairy tale short, or try to, I had to tweak the pattern. I tweaked it heavily. I left out at the beginning around 5 rows. I realized the collarwork yoke still was too long. The split for the sleeves will still be too far down for me. I went a size up to the second size because I felt I just don't have enough room here. And I realized it is partly because she increases the last 2 stitches for the arms quite far down the pattern. The last increases before you split for sleeves are somewhere here, which is really low, which made it around my shoulders quite tight, which made it to push themselves upwards because it was just too tight. So I went a size up, which gives me one more of the pattern repeats. I did the last 2 increases way earlier. I did them here. After this last stitch, I did it here. If you compare this one here to this one, you see this is further apart. It's 3 stitches in between instead of 1 because I increased here. So I have enough room for my sleeves. And I needed the stitches to separate the sleeves. And I separated the sleeves like 15 rounds earlier. So I separated them in the midst of the colorwork yoke, which is totally new for me. I never done this. And it kind of scared me. So I did something I never done before too. I put in a lifeline. Just I could rip back if it doesn't work and start and don't have to rip back the whole thing. Because the upper part I thought was fitting quite nicely. And still, for a 96 centimeter bust, this turned out quite tight. And I know I am a quite knit. I have really trouble talking. I know I am a tight knitter, but my gauge was spot on stitch wise. So I had the desired 20 stitches with a 4.5 millimeter needles in the color work and with a 4 millimeter needle in the stockinette stitch. I was spot on with gauge. So this pattern turns out to be, yeah, maybe just, if I would give you a suggestion for this pattern, size up rather than down. My stitch gauge was spot on. My row gauge was way off. I had 24 rows on 10 centimeters with the 4.5 millimeter needles instead of 28, so which also made it even longer. But I couldn't change the needles because then it would have been too small stitch-wise. So I was really like, oh my god. And I'm so proud I managed. It fits now really nicely. Let me put it on quickly to show you. So now it fits as I wanted to. It's still puckering up a bit here, so but I can block this out. But this is how it fits now. And before it was like this. Honestly, it was like this, punched up here and stuck up here. It was terrible. So now the fit really is how I like it. And it's a bit tight even now because I put it over another knitwear. It's not meant for that, of course. And I don't think you can actually notice I increased here. I had to do some improvisation here for the newly cast on stitches. I never separated sleeves in the midst of a color work. Yarn tangle. So I had to kind of improvise there. I just did random white stitches down there. I tried to go with the pattern as far as I could, but it didn't work properly with the stitches here, so I just randomly picked up the white. And I might do some duplicate stitch over it later. I don't know yet how much you can see it. It's right under the arm, so. Now I'm at the stockinette part. It's easy peasy to go for the body. I think I will do an I-cord bind off. And when I go to the sleeves, I need to do some improvisation too, because the pattern, of course, is cut off on the sleeves. So I need to go on with the pattern here as good as I can. I'm so proud of this. I will love it when it's finished. But I heavily tweaked the pattern. I will keep showing you my progress on it, of course. And I'm really keen to see how it looks once it's blocked and laid out. I knit this in the Mayflower Easy Care merino wool in the colorway 236 and 216, which I think is a very good match. You can really see the pattern. I'm so glad I didn't use this kind of yellow yarn, which you can really see it just doesn't fit. I don't know why still, but it doesn't match. It is more from the feeling of me, it's more a Christmas jumper almost than an autumn jumper. I kind of crave some autumnal color knits. I was like, I have all these super autumnal plants, and as I planted with the yellow yarn, it was very autumnal. Now with the white, it is more Christmassy, but it's fine. I will be very happy to wear this in November, December when it's finished and it gets cold, even before when it's cozy, and I might even wear it for Christmas, depending on how cold it will be. We are at plans and acquisitions. I don't have too many acquisitions, as I told myself not to buy yarn until the end of the year, except for my dad's sweater, which I showed you in the last episode. But I had to order more of this white yarn because I couldn't get it at Hobby, where I got the other one. This one I ordered from Hobby, and the yellow one, and this one they didn't have it anymore, so I had to order it from somewhere else. And it's the first time I ordered there. It's actually from Ririko. So new store, online store for me. I discovered the Ririko yarn online shop. I don't know what the precise name is. I had to order those yarns. I ordered 4 balls just to be safe because the length per ball is a bit less. So I ordered 1 or 2 more. She said 2 balls are enough. I ordered 4 just to be safe. You know, I hate yarn chicken. And it's a white merino wool. I can always use this for anything else. It's not a problem for me to use this up. This is what I ordered, and as I was ordering, the shipping costs were not that low, so I added up some stuff. I added up, luckily, some more brushed alpaca silk from Drops. This actually I ordered to pair with my apocairn yarn, and I hope it will kind of dilute the colorful thing. I told you all about it last time in episode 4. I hope if I pair it with an alpaca silk that it might make it more whitish. You know, this was planned for a transitional knit. I really want my transitional knits to be able to wear on my bare skin, which will not be possible with a brushed alpaca. So if you have any suggestions concerning this yarn, how I can make it work for myself. And I ordered a totally new to me yarn with those 6 balls. It just turned up on the page and I was like, yes, I was looking for a unspun like yarn for a very long time, but the unspun like yarn I can tolerate. And I came across this Puno Gepard yarn. I'm actually not sure what country it is from because not a language I know. Merino, I guess this is Merino, but I have no idea what language this is. And 22% PA, I guess, is a short term for polyacrylic. Til nettet, I have no idea what this means, but most of it is baby alpaca. I cannot tolerate it on my bare skin, but I don't need to for this pattern because I really want since a long time, and I have the pattern since last year. I want to knit a Fields of Gold sweater by Isabella Clarke, which is known as, where did I put it? 100 Acre Wool Knits, I think is her channel called. I just love watching her, and I love how this jumper looks, and I will surely do it long sleeves and wear something underneath, that is for sure. It's not meant for me as a transitional piece, it's a winter sweater. I just ordered this colorway because I love it so much, this kind of rusty red. Oh, so nice. I'm not sure if it works with the pattern or if it's too dark, if I need to go lighter. But for testing, I only have 1 ball ordered. I will test the pattern. I will see how it looks like. I can try out the pattern. I hope this yarn will work out, maybe in another color. And the last acquisition I made is another book. I don't know if I told you, but before I became a elementary, as we say, primary school teacher, I was a bookbinder. And for a really long time, I thought about becoming a bookseller before that. And I just love books. It's after yarn, it's my second thing I cannot stop buying. And this is the book I was looking at for a long time, and it was so expensive because of the merchandise and everything. And now I happened to see it in a big sale. It was half the price it normally is, and I said, let's get it. Outlander knitting. It has so many lovely patterns in it. Outlander inspired from different designers. And I mean, without giving away everything, look at these socks. Aren't they gorgeous? And I actually really like that heel with that line going up. So this might be the sock I try a different heel, because I just love how this looks. I love this scarf. Look at this combination with the lace and the red simple scarf. I maybe would do some Eillets pattern in it, but the lacy part underneath it, and they always write how it was inspired. This one was inspired from this dress, which I think is just gorgeous. Lovely book, really lovely book. I can't wait to knit something from it. But there is something I realized. I have a lot of knitting books with lovely patterns in it, and I very rarely knit something from books. When I look to my bookshelf over there, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I have 12 books, knitting books with patterns, lovely books, and I just don't knit out of them. I don't know why. I knit a lot of the Island pullover book I showed you last time, and I used the Vogue knitting pattern and the Stricken I showed you for my romantic summer tea. I think episode 1 or 2 you can see about that one, and I just pulled out some patterns. These are kind of pattern books, and I use them a lot to pull out patterns for socks or something. But the rest with the full, I did 1 shawl, no, it's not true, 2 shawl out of my shawl knitting book. Verliebt Tücher stricken, I think is it called. But I showed you one of those shawls, I think episode 2. I don't know why. I don't know why I keep buying those books, actually marking stuff I want to knit with little post-its, and then end up buying new patterns, single patterns, and not knit something out of the books. I have even more than 12. I have like 14 books, and I used 4 of them. It's embarrassing, and I really want to change that. And I am thinking about doing a kind of New Year's resolution for 2024 about knitting patterns, maybe only from the books I already have, maybe not only, maybe I allow myself to also knit patterns I already own in my the single patterns. But I need to stop buying patterns. I have so many patterns also on my laptop, like free patterns, other patterns I bought, and it's a bit of a addiction too, like with the yarn. You keep on seeing all these new patterns popping up on YouTube, on Ravelry, Instagram, and you're thinking, yeah, I have to have this, I have to have this. My list of love patterns, favorites in Ravelry is getting longer and longer. My queue is getting longer and longer. And I have so many books I don't use. I don't know if this is something you know. Is this just me? Is this just me buying books, look at them and think, oh, I knit this, I want to knit it, and never do it? Please tell me in the comments, is this just me, or do you know this phenomenon? Is this something happening to anyone else out there. And I really want to I actually had the idea of making a knit along, maybe start a cal, like a out of books cal. Like just whatever book you have at home, knit something out of it. Tell me if this is something you would enjoy doing, if this is something you would like me see doing. Sorry, hit my table again with a laptop on it. I plan on do something with these knitting books in the new year, like once a month a pattern out of a book. For every pattern it's not in a book, I need to make one from a book or something like this. Or just really be very strict and say, you have so many patterns. Don't buy any patterns for 4 months, 6 months, a year, whatever. I would have enough patterns to knit a whole year without having to buy anything, actually. I told about all my knitting fall autumn plans till end of year and even beyond in my in-between episode video. The only last thing I have, which I'm really looking forward to, is I got paired up with my partner for the Scrappy Yarn Advent of the Creia Beyan knitting podcast. I got a German podcaster, Christine. Her channel is called Knit and See. I'll put it here. And I'm really looking forward. I was already chatting with her, had lovely conversations over Instagram on what she likes, what she wants, what I like. And we are in the midst of preparing our Scrappy Yarn Advent calendars. Dear Christine, I already have all the yarn balls ready. I'm so looking forward to making this. At the moment, I'm really enjoying doing this for Christine from Knit and See Knitting Podcast. Her knitting podcast is in German, so if you want to practice your German, perfect German, of course. And I think she's she's lovely. I think we have a lot in common. She loves Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. We like the same color schemes, so I think it will be a perfect match, and I'm looking forward to this. So to wrap this episode up, I would really love to get a bit more of a conversation down in the comments, so please let me know first what you would like or what you would wish for as a 100 subscriber in between special. If you have any ideas, please put it down below. Then if you have any suggestions concerning this yarn, how I can make it work for me, put it down below. And let me know if you would be interested in a kind of project out of books, knitting, cal, something. It can be very open. It can also be maybe a make-along. If you have crochet books, why not? What would you love? Let me know, please, in the comments if you have any ideas, suggestions. Let me also know if you love this video, like it, subscribe if you want to. I would be thrilled to get 100 subscribers. It would be beyond my wildest dreams. And you can find me on Ravelry as Eillets and on Instagram as knitting_Eillets. Thank you for watching this podcast and be that supportive of my channel. Really, I can't thank you enough. I hope to see you soon.